you think about the tropics, you think about year-round warm weather, ways to move more slowly, simple, light food. Well, like this. I mean, can you imagine a more refreshing breakfast when it's already 85 degrees in the shade? You know, when I talk to people about what they remember of their trips to Mexico, well, tropical fruit always comes up really high on the list. And it's that incredible variety that you find in the hotel buffets or the color you see in the markets, in the street stalls. It's that amazing perfume that's in the air. And mostly, well, I think it's about the immediacy. I mean, the stuff is just so fresh, so ripe. Half the time, people don't even know what they're eating, but they sure do know they're in the tropics. Most of us pretty much get tropical fruit, don't we? I mean, things like pineapple and papayas, mangoes, bananas. But what about this? I mean, it's a tropical fruit, too. And along with a lot of other little-known tropicals, it's grown all over the Yucatan Peninsula. This is one of my absolute favorites, just because of the way it looks. Otherworldly, like it comes from another planet. And you'll be surprised when I cut into it. This, by the way, grows on a kind of viney-looking cactus plant. It's called a pitaya. And when you open it up, just look at that. Black and white on the inside. Well, you could imagine just cutting a little slice of it to use as a decoration on a dessert plate. But it's also just delicious, sliced and eaten out of hand or made into a very refreshing drink. Now, this one over here, well, it's one of the most ancient of the pre-Columbian tropical fruits. It's called zapote negro. It's never ripe until it's as soft as a persimmon would be. Another surprise is in store for us when we cut into this one, because from that brilliant green exterior, we will expose a chocolate brown interior. But it has nothing to do with the flavor of chocolate. No, this is absolutely fabulous when made into an ice, a sorbet, with a little bit of lime juice and orange. Now, here's one that they call simply ciruela, plum, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the plums of North America. Now, this one, it's sometimes called the purple mambin, has a huge seed on the inside of it. And when you cut it open, well, it's got a kind of dense flesh, but what this is so delicious for is its aroma. Lots of times they'll just pickle it to serve alongside some savory food, or they'll cure it in alcohol to give that beautiful, resonant aroma to that. So here's my point. The tropical fruit that we know is really just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, there's a whole world, a whole countries full of tropicals that we really don't know anything about. Because most of them are picked ripe, they really can't travel, and so they're eaten right on the spot, right here in Mexico. Okay, so I just finished telling you about that seemingly unending variety of tropical fruit in the Yucatan. Some stuff that you may never have heard of before, and then I show you this, a papaya. Some of you will say, been there, done that. But this isn't just any old papaya. This is a Mexican papaya, and it's got flesh that's a little denser, a little bit more flavorful than the old Hawaiian solo papaya that you may be used to. And the really cool thing is that this papaya is showing up in the United States a lot these days. They even carry it down at the chain grocery store near my house. But if no papaya seems very exotic to you, let me show you a way to prepare it into a dessert that has a few surprises built in. I cut it in half like that. The seeds we want to scoop out into a plate or into the trash. We're not really going to use those here. So just right down like that. You know, those seeds are what they make meat
tenderizer out of. It won't really help us in this particular situation. Then we're going to peel it and then cut it into fairly large cubes, about 1.5 inch squares. Now we'll scoop the tender, ripe papaya chunks over into a large Dutch oven. You could also do this in a large, deep skillet. And I'm going to add to it sugar, and this may surprise you here. It's a lot of sugar going in this because we're sort of half candying this papaya. I'm gonna add one of those great Mexican cinnamon sticks, the flaky kind that has such a wonderful aroma to it. The ones that they call canela. You could use any cinnamon stick to make this with, but squeeze in a little bit of fresh lime juice here. That'll add a nice tanginess that I always love with papaya. And then we're going to pour in enough water to cover it. One last little flavoring we're gonna add is an old-fashioned one. You find this in a lot of the old books, and it's fig leaves. So this may not be in ready supply for you, and if it's not, you can just simply leave it out. But if you grow where fig trees, when you live where fig trees grow, then you could just pick some of those and throw them right into the pot. Now we're going to cover this, or partially cover it, and set it over a high fire till it comes to a boil, and then let it simmer over very, very low fire for about 2 hours. You want to keep that fire low so that we don't break up any of those beautiful pieces of papaya. After the papaya has simmered for a couple of hours, it'll be translucent. Transfer just the pieces of papaya to a wire cooling rack set over a baking sheet. And then after an hour or so, they will have firmed up on the outside, so nestle them all into an oven-proof serving dish. Okay, now for the surprises. The first one is this. We have Mexican Chihuahua cheese, and I've cut up a bunch of cubes of it to sort of sprinkle down in and around our half-candied papaya. Second one is this, my kitchen blowtorch. So I'm gonna turn that on and caramelize the papaya and melt the cheese down in and around it. So this blowtorch is a little bit like a super efficient, very hot broiler, which you could use in its place. Okay, so we've got a little sweet and fruity, but also the savoriness of that cheese in there. It's sort of like a tropical version of apple pie with cheddar cheese in it. Which reminds me, one of my other all-time favorite tropical fruit topics, pie.
Is that coconut?
Yeah, it's that coconut that I bought at the Asian market, frozen, shredded, almost tastes like fresh.
Well, what are we gonna do with it?
I was thinking coconut pie.
Oh, come on, you always say that. I was thinking something different.
Like what?
Like cocada, the Mexican version of coconut pie, just minus the crust.
I think I could go along with that.
I knew the pie angle would get you.
Okay, you just measure 1.25 cups of sugar into that saucepan there. I'm gonna drizzle in a little bit of corn syrup, a tablespoon, and throw in one of the Mexican cinnamon sticks, that canela. Now dump all of the coconut over in here. Okay, you start stirring that around while I measure a cup of water to pour in there. And then all we have to do, not much to stir right now, is it? Now I'm gonna turn on the fire, so watch yourself there. Put it over a medium-low heat, and we'll stir it pretty regularly until all of the liquid has evaporated. It'll take about 20 minutes. Now beat the egg yolks there. And when they're smooth, I'm gonna give you a little bit of this hot cooked down coconut mixture to just kind of warm up those yolks slowly. I'll give you a touch of milk, that'll loosen it up. Oh, that looks really good. Now, when that's all mixed together, put it back in here. It's warmed up now, I think. That's tempering up the egg yolks. Okay. Now, this will thicken up pretty fast. Put it back over the heat and just in, I'd say, probably 30 seconds or so, it'll start thickening. Those egg yolks will heat quickly. And then we're ready to form the cocadas. Okay. Here, grab a spoon, or maybe a couple spoons, actually, because it's kind of hot. And then let's go in and form the little patties here. Okay. It's kind of hard to work with that really long strand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now form them kind of neatly there. And once we get them all formed, then we'll put them in the oven and bake them for about 25 minutes or so. Fantastic.
You wanted to make pie.
Now, don't get me wrong. I still want to make pie.
Okay.
.com/live.
In tropical hot spots like the Yucatan, the desserts tend to be pretty simple. Usually just some fruit that's cooked with a little sugar, maybe a simple custard. Well, given all that heat, plus the fact that out here in the countryside, people don't have a lot of ovens, there's not a lot of baking going on, which makes what we're about to see all that more amazing.
What are we about to see?
Merengues. They're crispy on the outside, luscious on the inside meringues. Now, I have arranged for us to go visit Doña Telma, and she's going to show us the secrets of making her fabulous merengues. Doña Telma, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo está usted?
Bienvenidos.
Muchas
Buenos
gracias
días.
por la invitación.
Están ustedes en su
Muchas
casa.
gracias. Doña Telma took us back into her outdoor kitchen to get everything set up for making the meringues. The first thing that she did was to mix together some sugar and water in a saucepan, and she set it over a charcoal fire. Then she put in a piece of lime rind that she'd cut off the lime in one single piece, just beautiful. Now, when it came to a boil, she started beating the egg whites. Her goal was to have that sugar syrup reach the thread stage at just the moment when the egg whites held stiff peaks. Well, she reached her goal, and then she started pouring in that hot sugar syrup in a thin, steady stream until all of it had been incorporated. Now, here's the point at which we move from craft to art. The mixture gets beaten at just the right speed so that it'll cool down slowly. She started with an electric mixer and then changed to the wooden molinillo. Her goal here was to get the finest textured meringue that she could achieve. But when she had it just right, it had acquired a beautiful luster. And then she started piping it out onto a cookie sheet. She actually went around to each one of the little meringues twice and then used a well-practiced finger to get a beautiful little peak on each one. Now comes the cool part. She browned them using an old-fashioned salamander. It's made out of tin, and it holds coals on the top, like an old-fashioned broiler. She set it down over the tray of the meringues, and she just let them cook slowly under that fire. She wanted them to brown just a little bit, but to do it slowly so that they'd be crispy on the outside, and the inside would set just enough that she could slide them off of that cookie sheet and then join two of them together at the bottom, at the uncooked part. And then she laid them on a beautiful cloth-lined plate. Could you believe that technique that she used?
No, when she cooked it under charcoal.
Like, yeah, it's pretty astonishing that she did it all in a rustic outdoor kitchen. Señora, se ven tan elegantes.
They're so creamy.
Loving them.
I get really fired up about meringues, whether they're soft and gooey or crispy or on a pie. Now, lemon meringue pie, well, that's good stuff. But if you trade lemon for lime and pile on some tropical fruit and then even more meringue, well, I think you've got something pretty spectacular. Let me show you how to make that lime filling.
In goes 1.3 cups of water, 1 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Everything gets whisked together over the heat until the mixture thickens. Then in goes 6 egg yolks. Whisk that, and when the mixture comes back to a boil, we'll put in fresh lime juice, freshly grated lime zest, and 3 tablespoons of butter. That hot filling will go into a prepared crumb crust. Now, after this cools off to room temperature, we'll put it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours to firm up, and then it's on to the meringue. I'm going to take the bowl of my electric mixer and sit it down into a pot of simmering water. Now, 4 of the egg whites that I saved from the egg yolks that went into the filling go into that pot along with a full cup of sugar. And I'm going to whisk that for 2 or 3 minutes until the mixture is warm to the touch. I know this is a departure from regular meringue, but heating the egg whites will give them a marshmallowy texture and make them more stable. Okay, warm now, and I'm going to put it onto the electric mixer and put it on about a medium high for 5 minutes or so until we have stiff, glossy peaks. Now let me show you a fast way to get this meringue out of the bowl and onto the pie. I use a ice cream scoop. Just deposits it beautifully all around the exterior of the pie. I use a little spatula to make some swishes and swirls in that luscious meringue. I could eat this stuff out of a spoon. Thing we've got left now is the chopped tropical fruit to pile in the middle and the browning of the meringue with my handy kitchen torch. Hey!
Is that pie?
It is pie, and I think you're gonna love this part of it. Watch this. You wanna give it a whirl?
Yeah.
Okay, you try it. Ah, look at that. Oh, there you go. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Look at it puff up. One last little bit here on this side. And now we're gonna put on the fruit. Boy, doesn't that look good?
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be a pretty nice pie.
If you want to get a crash course in all those beautiful tropical fruits that I showed you before, and you're in Mexico, then head to a neveria, a place that you would get ices and ice creams. Just look at this list of offerings up there. About halfway down, you see pitaya. It's that pink dragon fruit I showed you with the black and white inside. Or down here, sapote. That's the green one on the outside with the chocolate brown interior. They've got the aromatic nances. Well, down here's some papaya. I bet that's good.
So, which one are we gonna get?
One? I mean, come on, we're in the food business. We've got research to do.
That's right. We do have work to do. Now, will you order them and I'll go scoop out a table?
Okay.
No, be sure to order tamarindo.
Ok, señor, vamos a querer mamey y nance, pitaya y guayaba, guanábana y papaya y un tamarindo. I just love my job. Now, this is amazing. How often do you get to taste mamey? How's that meringue over here?